It's summer, so it's time to go to summer camp. For spy movies, that is. 2026. There are a lot of campy spy movies out there. Some work, while some, like Agent Cody Banks 2, are terrible. But some are worth a watch. So listen on, and we'll give you 6 spy movies for summer camp. Hi, this is Dan.
And Tom.
Of SpyMovieNavigator.com and our show, Cracking the Code of Spy Movies. Get your camping gear together, and we will discuss some of the good but campy spy movies.
Now, Dan, we just released our decoding episode on Our Man Flint. And we called it campy, but I don't think we ever defined what that word meant. So what's your definition of a campy spy movie? I mean, we're going to summer camp after all. We should learn something.
Yeah, all right. A campy spy movie, I think, can usually be defined by stylish excess, like costumes, gadgets, sets, that kind of thing. Cartoonish villains and plots. That's pretty cool. Self-awareness or parody, and humor
to me, the parody is an important part of that.
Yeah, of course. And humor that undercuts the cool spy image.
Today we're going to take a high-level look at some of the better campy spy movies, and for some of these we've already done episodes on them, decoding episodes. We'll have the links in the notes below so you can find them. Plus, stick around to the end of this episode and we're going to give you some honorable mentions that just missed our list. And we should probably start with what's the most successful and campiest spy movie of all of them. Well, actually, it's a collection of movies. I'm talking about the Austin Powers movies. And today we're going to talk about Austin Powers, the first one, International Man of Mystery.
Yeah, let's talk about the gold standard of campy spy movies. You are calling out the first one, but much of what we will talk about could be said for Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me, and Austin Powers in Goldmember. Actually, if it's possible, the campiness increased with each movie. So
I agree with you there. Now, Austin Powers' International Man of Mystery gave us constant jokes, and it's still tightly structured. It's a smart parody of Bond, plus the 1960s spy culture. And I still find it very watchable. Some of these campy movies kind of age out quickly, and they can be hard to rewatch. But I think part of what makes this work is they spoof the older movies, but they set it in present day. And I think that whole then versus now thing really helps.
Yeah. The movie was really deeply personal for Mike Myers. After his father died in 1991, he began taking stock of his dad's influence on his comedy. And Austin Powers was essentially a tribute to him, built on a shared love of James Bond, Peter Sellers, the Beatles, and Peter Cook and Dudley Moore. This tribute is right on. So
yeah, that's good.
Interesting.
Now, the premise is simple but productive. Austin Powers was the ultimate 1960s British super spy, and he gets himself cryogenically frozen to pursue his arch nemesis, Dr. Evil. Now, when both are defrosted in 1967, you get a movie that's essentially James Bond meets political correctness. It's a joke with seemingly limitless variations. Austin's free love swagger and wolfish charm is perfectly calibrated for 1967, and it's like a relic from another planet in the era of sensitivity training and safe sex. This thing violates a lot of rules.
Yeah, you can't act like that today, probably, but it is fun to watch.
Well, that's what makes it work, because you're not supposed to act that way, yet they're showing it because that's what he did back then.
Yeah, I mean, both Austin Powers and Bond movies of the late 1990s, like GoldenEye and Tomorrow Never Dies, were dealing with the same underlying tension. The image of the sexually magnetic international playboy spy as an anachronism in the 1990s. The difference is that Bond played it seriously, while Austin Powers, of course, played it for laughs.
Yep.
What elevates the movie above a string of cheap gags is Mike Myers' dual performances of Austin Powers and Dr. Evil.
Yeah, it's great. He's doing both characters.
Yeah, the director Jay Roach has said that Myers' characters are often deeply at odds with their own reality, thinking more of themselves than is warranted. And that delusion is the engine of the comedy. Roach explained, quote, "What Mike loves most are characters who straddle silliness and intelligence.
Yeah,
He's
and I
just
love this
does that.
because Austin Powers is convinced he's irresistible. He's a ladies' man. And Dr. Evil is convinced he's terrifying. And neither of these two things are even close to being right. And looking at that gap, just it never stops being funny.
Yeah, I mean, Dr. Evil in particular, he's a masterwork of sustained parody, which is cool. Myers has acknowledged that the character was primarily based on Donald Pleasance's performance as Blofeld in You Only Live Twice.
Yeah.
Complete with the gray suit, the bald cap, scar, and cat. Myers' mother gave him advice that shaped the villain's soul. The villain is the hero of his own story. That philosophy gave Dr. Evil an internal logic that makes him genuinely funny rather than just a costume.
Yeah, I think he's not just the hero of his own story. As we've pointed out in previous episodes, the hero is usually what makes a spy movie successful or not. Strong villain, likely a good movie. Weak villain, not so much. Dr. Evil is a strong villain.
Another thing that I think was important is that the movie never feels disrespectful to the Bond movies. It's more lampooning them, which I
Yeah.
think is the funny part.
Yep.
Right? They said Robert Wagner, who plays number 2, didn't even know any of the James Bond characters that he was spoofing. Like, this character was probably like a blend of Largo and some others, but he had no idea. He said
That's
later,
funny.
"I had no idea who these even were." So
That's good.
the movie pokes fun, I think, in good taste. And Bond fans have fun hunting for all of the callbacks in these movies, and in this one in particular, and figuring out which specific movie is being spoofed at any given moment. And there's a lot.
Yeah. There are a lot.
Yeah.
And another thing I like is that Austin Powers International Man of Mystery, it knows its limits. It never oversteps. There's always that wink at the audience. They keep it colorful and loud, but it's never really aggressive. It's just there trying to make fun and have a good time.
Yeah. I mean, it's really like a competent madness that makes it hard not to enjoy. I mean, that's how it looks to me. It's like, okay, they're just really good at this.
Yeah, because if you think about it, this first one, it launched a franchise. It spawned a generation of catchphrases. It also proved that the best spy parodies work because they're made by people who genuinely love what they're making fun of.
Yeah. I mean, keep it campy, but have it make sense like this, and you can have a very successful movie. This is required watching for Summer Camp 2026. All right, next up, I want to take a look at the Matt Helm movies of the 1960s. These starred Dean Martin and were very campy. But they came to an end because the late 1960s spy craze, at least the spy spoof craze, started to fade. And this campy comedic tone fell out of fashion. But for the time, they worked for a while. But still, they're fun to go back and look at now.
They really are. And like in Austin Powers, there's a series of movies here, and we'll focus on the movie The Silencers, since that was the first one. Right? It was one of the top grossing movies of 1966. And its success is why they quickly got out Murderers Row, The Ambushers, and The Wrecking Crew. And normally when they do something where they get them in quickly like that, the quality goes down.
Yeah.
The last one, especially The Wrecking Crew, had a much weaker box office than the other ones. Now, by 1966, the spy movie craze that James Bond had unleashed was in full swing. Every studio in Hollywood was trying to figure out how to launch its own franchise. Producer Irving Allen had been looking for a spy series of his own, and the Matt Helm movies by Donald Hamilton seemed like just the right raw material to use.
Yeah, well, you got to remember that Irving Allen had been Cubby Broccoli's partner.
Oh, that's right.
Allen didn't think the James Bond movies were even good enough for television.
Oops.
Obviously, Cubby disagreed. This disagreement is considered to be the main reason for the partnership ending. So, of course, by the mid-1960s, Allen would want to prove that he could do a spy series too. So, there you go.
I got it wrong with Bond. I'm going to try to do my own. But choosing Matt Helm was kind of odd because Hamilton's original Helm was cold. He was a ruthless government assassin, and the books themselves were very hard-hitting and espionage fiction. Now, that's closer to what happened when they brought out the Matt Helm TV series in the mid-1970s, But for the movies, Irving Allen just threw out all that seriousness.
Yeah.
And he essentially just handed the role to Dean Martin and said, "Hey, Dino, be Dino."
Yeah. It was unlike turning down Bond. That was probably Allen's smartest decision to letting Dean be Dean.
It worked for him.
Yeah.
I mean, now we have to remember, in the mid 1960s, Dean Martin was at the absolute peak of cultural dominance. He made cool even cooler. His records had knocked the Beatles off the top of the charts in 1964. His movie career was thriving, and his weekly variety TV show was in the top 10. So casting him as a super spy wasn't so much of a stretch as a natural extension of Dean Martin's persona.
Yeah, he certainly wasn't an unknown.
Oh, absolutely. Now, Martin's Matt Helm was essentially Dean Martin, not Matt Helm. When he wasn't saving the world, he was having a drink, he was crooning a tune, or seducing beautiful women. The genius of the movie is it never pretends otherwise. What you see is what you get. Dino be Dino.
Yeah, it's kind of the opposite of Derek Flint. Flint did all of that, but he played it straight, which made it even funnier, I think.
Well, yeah, because the campiness was around him. And yeah, so very different thing.
Yeah.
The whole Matt Helm series here is a ribald blend of one-liners, booze, women, and impromptu song parodies, because you normally get that in a spy movie.
Yeah, all right.
And The Silencers, as the first entry, has the most energy and the freshest jokes. It isn't as spoofy as Austin Powers, but it just works. It's full of witty repartee, snippets from the Dean Martin repertoire, and generally a fun take on Bond's gadget paraphernalia. And he lets his cool become the opposite cool to Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
Sinatra was really closer to the way that Coburn's Derek Flint was. He oozed cool control.
Yeah.
Where Dean Martin's Helm seems to be letting us know, yeah, this thing's campy and we're going to show it. Martin's portrayal has us think that he should be in a Vegas nightclub rather than on a spy mission.
Yeah. And the supporting cast here really does a lot of the heavy lifting here. Stella Stevens plays Gail Hendricks, who's a bubbling agent whose help in the case consistently leads to unintended disasters.
Yeah, she's not a really good helper.
She's essentially the comedic engine of the movie. Her physical comedy gives Martin someone to react to, and his low-key exasperation is funnier than anything he could pull off on his own. Then there's Victor Buono as the villain Tung Zi, chewing through every scene with relish.
And don't forget Dahlia Lavi. She plays Tina, a former colleague who pulls Helm back out of retirement. So yes,
pull a spy out of retirement. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We saw that with Derek Flint, and we see that with Bond. We see that all the time now.
Yeah.
Now, Lavi was also in the 1967 Casino Royale spoof, playing the detainer 007. So he seems to do well with these campy spy movies.
Yeah. And this collection of co-stars, I think, is what makes the movie work as a piece of the 1960s pop spectacle. And so it's good. You know immediately what kind of movie you're in for here. From the opening title song, cheekily uses the number 38 to refer to both bullet calibers and dress sizes. That sets the tone perfectly. Winking a little body and completely in on the joke. I like that.
It's great when you know they're in on the joke.
Yeah.
Now, the biggest single gag in the whole movie is probably Matt Helm's car. So instead of the slick Aston Martin, he drives a wood-paneled station wagon with a bar and a bed in the back.
A wood-paneled station wagon.
That pretty much tells you everything about how The Silencers distinguishes itself from the competition. Where Bond is aspirational, Helm is comfortable. And Helm isn't trying to be the coolest man in the room. He just is. Effortlessly. He doesn't even have to get up from his bar stool. And that laid-back confidence is ultimately what made the movie so much fun and worthy of being on our list for Summer Camp 2026.
All right, let's jump to 2014, which brought us another movie for our summer camp, Kingsman, The Secret Service. I think that's one of your favorites, isn't it, Tom?
Yeah, absolutely it is. And I
Yeah.
really like the whole Kingsman series. Not all good campy movies have to be a part of a series. Just happens to be that the first three that we're picking are.
Yeah. I mean, the Kingsman series gave us a very clear and confident thesis statement. Director Matthew Vaughn wanted the movie to be modernly irreverent and fun through its campiness, just like the classic Bond movies of the 1960s through the 1980s, making light of the spy genre it fits into without too much seriousness. That's a trickier balancing act than it sounds. What I think makes Kingsman: The Secret Service is how completely they achieve this balance.
Oh, yeah. Right. The Kingsman: The Secret Service is based on Mark Millar and David Gibbons' wicked 2012 comic book, The Secret Service. This cynical and dark-humored spy movie appeals to the anti-establishment enthusiasts while simultaneously operating within the whole established genre it's riffing on. So it's almost like it's riffing on itself while it's doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's self-aware humor and stylization are playful and fun. Well, their harsh views on everything from corrupt politicians, boy, go figure,
Mhm.
or familiar spy thriller storylines, they generally feel fresh. This is not your normal spoofy spy movie, but it still has a bit of camp to it.
Yeah, I think for one thing, it focuses heavily on class warfare. This gives Kingsman: The Secret Service an element that most spy parodies lack. It adds a depth to the movie that isn't funny, but can be portrayed, I think, with some humor.
Well, Dan, part of that I think is most British movies have a class warfare part to them.
Yeah, yeah,
And
lots
most of
of
the American movies don't. So this
right.
kind of brings the American spoof to an English type of feel.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The movie follows Eggsy, a working class London kid recruited into the ultra secret Kingsman agency by his handler, Harry Hart, played by Colin Firth, who nails this role. It plays more like a Roger Moore Bond era kind of movie, but maybe adding a little more of the British punk style sensibility to it. But it is a cool movie. I love that.
Oh yeah, and the cool thing is you've got the punk stuff, but then you've also got the upright British gentleman feel to it. It's a really good balancing act there.
Yeah, it is. That's good.
Now, first, Harry Hart is the movie's secret weapon. Right? He's a supremely mannered, immaculately dressed English gentleman who's also capable of taking down an entire pub, in that scene where he's got the thugs and he doesn't even
Yeah,
mess up his tie. He just has this huge fight and he just looks dapper. And the
yeah. I
gap between the
love this.
image of the straight English gentleman, immaculately dressed English gentleman, and the violence is really funny every single time you see it because it's like, this seems to be so out of character, but he just nails those guys in that pub.
And again, like you said, that's part of the balancing act that is so tough to do, but they did well in this movie. The violence is very violent.
Yes, it is.
Yet sometimes a bit of its cheekiness comes out and you have to smile,
Yep.
even though all this violence is going on. Oh, it's pretty cool. And the villain, Richmond Valentine, drips with campy humor.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's played by the good Samuel L. Jackson. Jackson portrays Valentine's awkwardness, heavy lisp, and squeamish fear of blood in funny contrast to the global mass murder scheme he's cheerfully executing.
And I just love the way Jackson portrayed Valentine. I mean,
Yeah,
this is an
it's good.
episode on campy spy movies, and Jackson really delivers the camp here. That whole, oh, I don't like blood. Yeah, he's really violent.
He's a campy villain who is also one mean bastard.
Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson plays him as a tech billionaire type with a hip hop wardrobe and a taste for McDonald's. His, his performance is exactly calibrated to the movie's tone, menacing enough to be taken seriously, ridiculous enough to be hilarious. And I think it's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, it really
Yeah.
is. Because it has just a ton of references to earlier spy movies and television that works because of its self-awareness and its total commitment to the camp. I mean, you don't get much campier than Valentine. The
Yeah.
characters openly discuss whether a scenario feels like a Bond movie. I mean, they even talk about it. The villain has a secret mountain lair. There's a henchwoman with a prosthetic blade legs. None of this is accidental. They take
Yeah.
something from Bond, make a slight change to it, add some campiness to it, and it's just fantastic.
Yeah, it is fantastic. And then there's the church scene, Tom. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's arguably the most over-the-top single set piece of the entire decade. It's a sustained explosion of choreographed ultra-violence set to Leonard Skinner that somehow manages to be simultaneously jaw-dropping and satirically pointed and deeply funny. There's another one of those very violent scenes that somehow they make you smile.
Yeah, and I don't know how they pulled off the humor in this scene. It was so
It's amazing.
violent, but somehow there's some humor in it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just brilliantly done.
I have to tell you, the stunt performances in this scene are terrific, right?
Oh,
Tom?
they
Remember-
really are.
Yeah.
We have a podcast and a video of our interview with Colin Firth's stunt double, Rick English, on both YouTube and your favorite podcast app. We talk about his experience with Kingsman, and we spent a lot of time on this church fight. Talking about Rick, about the way they actually shot the scene was really, really interesting.
Yeah. And again, you can go to our YouTube channel too and find it and Cracking the Code of Spy Movies, or our podcast, of course, Cracking the Code of Spy Movies.
All right, so let's get back to the movie. The Kingsman Secret Service is stylish, subversive, campy,
Yes.
and for me at least, above all, fun. This movie is just fun for me.
Yeah. I think what ultimately separates Kingsman the Secret Service from lesser entries in the campy spy canon is that it earns its excesses.
Oh, yeah.
The class struggle heart of the story gives the campiness something to push against. And the result is a movie that works as action, as comedy, as satire, and as a pure pop spectacle, all at the same time. Pretty tough to do. That's what puts it on our summer camp viewing list. All right. Next up, we want to move to 2015. Melissa McCarthy in Spy.
Okay, yeah, and thank you to these guys for coming up with a movie title that messes up every Google search for spy movies. This is another movie we've got an episode out. We did it in September of 2025.
Yep.
And Spy came out the year after Kingsman: The Secret Service. By now, the spy movie spoof had practically become its own cliche. So we're getting into a point where the cliche is a movie about the cliche. We have to remember, in the 2010s, we got Kingsman: The Secret Service, Barely Lethal, Spectre, Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation, The Bridge of Spies, A Most Wanted Man, Central Intelligence, and The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Yeah, I mean, against that crowded field, Spy looked on paper, at least, to be a bad bet. A hacky title, a marketing campaign built entirely around Melissa McCarthy in a cat lady disguise, okay, and a premise that seemed to be ludicrous. The surprise is how thoroughly it delivers, though. And I have to say, when we recorded that episode, I had no interest in seeing Melissa McCarthy in any movie, let alone a spy movie. But
Yeah,
it
I
turned out to
didn't.
be okay.
For me, I didn't watch this movie till about 2024 because,
Okay.
like you, I hadn't been a huge Melissa McCarthy fan. I didn't
No.
like the way she did her comedy because it was all about her size instead of just letting her act. But watching
Yeah.
this movie changed my mind.
She
I thought she was fantastic in this, and
Yeah.
I really liked the movie. And I think the key here is Paul Feig didn't make a spoof per se. He didn't try to copy Austin Powers. And yes, Spy was a parody, but that really wasn't the key point of the movie. If it had been, it would have reduced McCarthy's importance to the movie, and I probably wouldn't have liked it. Rather, Spy is a comedy that includes James Bond-inspired action, comedy, and engineering. I mean by that, it's shot, it's scored, and it's cut like a legitimate spy thriller. They made it a straight-up spy thriller. They added stuff to. They tweaked and added in the comedy and some words and visuals as well, but it was a spy thriller that they made a comedy. I mean, it has 007 style opening credits. They're played completely straight, and the movie earns its laughs by contrast rather than constant winking like we got in Austin Powers. Remember, one thing that made our man Flint work is Coburn played it straight. We said that earlier, and that comes through here as well. That tends to make a strong, potentially campy, and funny spy movie.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the movie. Susan Cooper, who Melissa McCarthy plays, is a desk-bound CIA analyst who manages operations for field agents, and McCarthy gives her a wholly satisfying dramatic arc. She gives us moist-eyed sincerity and inappropriate R-rated put-downs, often, delivered in the same breath. I mean, she was terrific at that. That would be hard.
I think we should have pointed out that Kingsman, the Secret Service, and Spy earned their R ratings.
Yeah, they did a good job of that. All right, that's true. Now, Susan is overlooked, underestimated, of course, and quietly excellent at her job. The comedy isn't that she's incompetent. It's that everyone around her assumes she is.
Yeah, and that's, I think, what changed my mind on Melissa McCarthy. The comedy here isn't all about her like in some of her earlier work. It's the environment she's in.
Yeah. And its core, this action-packed, globe-trotting Bond spoof is fundamentally about a woman leaning in and finding her inner Bond, which sounds funny, but that's what she's doing in this movie. The supporting cast in the movie is another great asset.
Yeah.
The rapid-fire comedic riffs are powered by an A-list ensemble of Jude Law, Rose Byrne, Miranda Hart, Peter Serafinowicz, and a brilliantly unhinged Jason Statham.
Oh, he was great.
Yeah, he was. I have to say, he's a real highlight. Who's Rick Ford, a swaggering agent convinced of his own invincibility, delivers a sustained comedic performance that steals every scene he's in. Absolutely.
Yeah, and somehow he's kind of like Austin Powers in that I can do everything, but it's portrayed differently. It's really cool how they do it.
Yeah. I mean, his deadpan list of outrageous claims I thought was funny about his own exploits.
I drove a car off a freeway on top of a train while I was on fire. Not the car. I was on fire.
His delivery of that line. I mean, that's enough right there to watch the movie. I thought, okay, this is good.
Yeah.
Genuinely, one of the funniest running jokes in any spy movies of the era. I mean, it's just well done. And his delivery is fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, this really was a strong supporting cast. For me, Jude Law and Jason Statham took it over the top. Now, Spy shows us that McCarthy and Feig brought out the best in one another. They delivered scores of real laughter throughout the movie. I mean, real laughter along the way. It never condescends to its hero, McCarthy's character, Cooper, or it doesn't turn her physical presence into the entire joke. And this is what changed from McCarthy's earlier work. It's Spy above the pack. Why it's on this list is it takes its own spy story seriously enough to make you care, but then it makes you laugh while you do it. And that's why it should work for you for Summer Camp 2026.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Our fifth campy spy movie for the summer is the 2015 movie The Man from U.N.C.L.E. It's directed by Guy Ritchie, and it's based on the classic 1960s TV show of the same name, which was tremendous, I thought. And it leans hard into that era's vibe. The result is a fun, breezy, and surprisingly charming movie that stands out in a genre often filled with grim, serious action. Here, instead of Robert Vaughn as Napoleon Solo and David McCallum as Ilya Kuryakin in the TV series, this time we get Henry Cavill as Solo and Armie Hammer as Ilya. Yeah. I mean, we know there are some issues with Armie Hammer as a person that surfaced in 2021, but he does a nice job acting here in this movie.
Oh, I agree with you there. Now, this movie, it's stylish, it's dry, and it's playful. It uses the whole fashion, music, and editing to set the style. This is based off the TV series, so you're going to get that. And like some of the others on this list, it doesn't take itself too seriously either. It's campy through elegance instead of Austin Powers' silliness. This and Austin Powers show us that both forms of campiness can work. And I think if you've listened to what we've talked about today, there are different forms of campiness that these movies all give us.
Yeah, the Man from U.N.C.L.E. really is one of those different, rare spy movies that knows exactly what it wants to be. And it pulls it off with a big, stylish grin, really. You're almost expecting them to break the fourth wall and say, yeah, we know. But they don't. But, that's what you're thinking. Okay, when are you going to turn to us and say,
we got it. We wink, wink, wink. And I think the biggest reason this movie works is that pairing of Henry Cavill as Napoleon Solo and Armie Hammer as Ilya Kuryakin. I mean, Solo is that smooth, unflappable American spy. We've talked about that type of spy in these movies already. He never seems rattled by anything. Where Kuryakin is a tightly wound Soviet agent, and he's got a very short fuse. They're total opposites, and the movie has a blast trying to make them work together. I mean, their bickering, their one-upsmanship, grudging respect for each other genuinely really funny.
Yeah, genuinely, I would say, Tom.
Genuinely funny. And in our episode on Our Man Flint, we talked about how the chemistry between leads is important. And it has to work, and it does in The Man from U.N.C.L.E. as well as Our Man Flint. Alicia Vikander rounds out the trio perfectly as Gabby, a sharp, clever woman who holds her own against both of these guys. So she's kind of stuck in the middle.
Yeah, Natan, you just said that the movie doesn't take itself too seriously, and I think that's important, especially when you consider when this movie was released. A lot of the spy movies, especially after Bourne Identity became popular, decided that being dark and gritty was the only way to go. And The Man from U.N.C.L.E. goes the opposite direction. It's loose and playful, which was refreshing. There's a scene where Solo sits on a boat, eating a snack, watching a race across the water. He's just cool, calm, and collected. Meanwhile, Kuryakin is in the middle of a dangerous chase. The movie doesn't even show you the action. It just lingers on Solo being completely unbothered. That kind of confidence in its own humor is what makes a campy movie actually work instead of just feeling dull. So I liked it.
Yeah, I think that worked well. Now, we also said that fashion, music, and editing set the style of this movie. I mean, this movie is a really well shot, and it just looks incredible with the clothes, the cars, the locations. Yeah. It all screams early 1960s cool. Rome, the Italian countryside, the sleek suits, the vintage vehicles, all combine to give the movie a look that feels like a fashion spread come to life. The soundtrack matches it, mixing lounge music and bold, brassy spy themes that fit the theme perfectly.
Yeah. And then we get the villain, Elizabeth Debicki, who plays Victoria, the main villain. Victoria is a rich, cold, elegant woman who's completely out of her mind and loving. She chews the scene in the best possible way. We've said it many times. A good spy movie needs a great villain. And a good campy movie needs a villain who commits fully to being theatrical and outrageous. And Debicki delivers.
Yeah, she really was good in this one.
Yeah.
The best campy spy movies succeed because they're in on the joke. The Man from U.N.C.L.E. never winks too hard at the camera, but it never pretends to be something deeper than it is either. It's a stylish, funny, lightweight spy movie, and it's completely comfortable with that.
Yeah. And, in a world of superhero blockbusters and franchise building, there's something genuinely refreshing about a movie that just wants to entertain you for 2 hours and look good doing it. And that makes it a great movie for our Campy Spy Movie Summer Camp. So let's end this with Our Man Flint, on which we just released a full episode, which has been tremendously popular. We aren't going to decode it again here, but we'll tell you why it's on our Summer Camp 2026 list. Our Man Flint has a very high camp level, and for the most part, it still holds up today. It gives us a spy as a superhero, but in parody form. The movie is smart and self-aware rather than sloppy.
Yeah.
And it influenced Austin Powers, I think, very heavily.
Yeah, it really did. You can, because, Powers actually makes, really some really good callbacks back to this movie.
Yeah.
So by 1966, the James Bond formula was so well established. The suave agent, the gadgets, the globetrotting, the women. So parodies had to become more prevalent than the real movies were. And that brings in Our Man Flint, which managed to do something almost none of its competitors pull off. It became an entertaining film in its own right, rather than just a joke at James Bond's expense.
Yeah. And it made a lot of money compared to what it cost to make and inspired future movies. So
Well, that's true.
success is
This was a box office hit.
Yeah. Now, along the spectrum of responses to the Bond movies, Our Man Flint is pitched somewhere between a dutiful homage and over the top parody, with its tongue planted too firmly in cheek to be mistaken for just another carbon copy. But neither is it the plain ridiculousness that Casino Royale 1967 aspired to be. Our Man Flint has this investment in character, I think, that really kind of sets it apart.
Yeah, I mean, that character is everything. James Coburn had a lanky frame, a rugged face, and a suggestion behind his eyes that he knew something that other guys didn't know. He was really a perfect choice to play a super spy with as many talents and skills as all of the CIA combined.
Yeah. Someone, and I can't remember who it was, called Derek Flint, quote, a cross between James Bond and Hugh Hefner. Okay. A true Renaissance man who communicates with dolphins, gives ballet lessons, and dispenses with enemies using a lighter and with 83 functions, if you want to light a cigar.
Yeah. Right. Now, we're not going to go through the whole movie here. We just did an episode. Our last episode was on Our Man Flint. So we're going to be doing another one based on Derek Flint in the movie In Like Flint pretty soon. But we didn't put it on this list since we're focusing on the first of a series. But like this movie, the sequel is just as entertaining as the original. So if you have more time at summer camp, you might want to watch that one too. Right?
All right. You can find our latest episode on Our Man Flint on any podcast apps, on our YouTube channel, or on our website, spymovienavigator.com as well.
Yeah, you can get more depth there. All right. Now, at the beginning of this episode, I promised you 2 honorable mentions. And we're not going to cover these in depth, but we want to call them out. The first one is OSS 117, Cairo, The Nest of Spies.
Yeah.
Now, this is a movie that would have likely made our list except for one issue. It's a French movie with English subtitles. And what is it you say about watching a subtitle movie, Dan? I'd rather what?
I'd rather watch a movie than read it.
Okay. We know there are many other people out there that think the same way. So all of that said, if you can deal with reading the movie, reading the English subtitles, this really is a great campy spy movie from 2006.
All right, that brings us to the last movie we're going to mention today, and it earns our second honorable mention. We're talking about Get Smart from 2008. Like The Man from U.N.C.L.E., this one is based on the 1960s spy spoof series, Get Smart. It stars Steve Carell as Maxwell Smart and Anne Hathaway as Agent 99. You gotta love Anne Hathaway. Yeah. You should watch any movie she's in. All right. It also has a very strong supporting cast, including Alan Arkin, Dwayne Johnson, Terrence Stamp, Terry Crews, Bill Murray, James Caan, and more. Get Smart somehow gets the humor right by mixing competence with incompetence. And it does this without feeling dumb.
Yeah, it's a fun movie. All right, so that's our list of the 6 campy spy movies for Summer Camp 2026, plus the 2 honorable mentions. These aren't highfalutin movies. They just poke some fun at the spy movie genre gems. I mean, they're perfect for a summer day.
Yeah, all right, that's a wrap. Let us know if you have a different movie you'd like to put on this list. This has been Dan.
And Tom.
From Cracking the Code of Spy Movies. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe to Cracking the Code of Spy Movies right now in your favorite app, where every episode reveals something new. Thanks for listening and spending part of your day with us. We appreciate it. And remember, in espionage, trust no one except us.
Thanks for listening.